Speaking's better.
Are you dancing?
Hello, Linda.
Are you in the club? You're in the club.
Just messing around, having some fun. The RGB lights, they're cool. You can like play with it on your phone.
Are those the ones that are like in your backyard?
Yeah. So you can do different music. And it plays off of it.
Cool.
But now it's super dark, so I'm going to open up the blinds again, and then we can get started.
Yay.
I know, I'm dark. That's okay, though. So I hope everybody is having a wonderful day today. We are getting pretty darn close, right, to the weekend once again.
We are close to the end, halfway through the year. How about that?
Nice.
That's scary, no? I mean, it's hard to believe that, like, it's here.
Yeah, seriously.
Although this year can keep going.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's so many memes about that, right? Like, I want to ask my mom to slap me into the middle of next year, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So real quickly from everybody, I would love to hear today's question that you're please put in the chat if it's, hashtag replay, so forth. What is something that you have already done that's been fun somehow this so far into the summer, or what is coming up that is fun? Share something positive with all of us, please.
Yes, yes, yes.
So you put together this deck today. You've got some good questions into it. And of course, as normal, we're watching the different places to be able to grab other questions and such as well. And Tiffany, I know I'm a super dork, but it's good to see you. So let's do a share a screen here. Cool. And it's rocking and rolling. So first off, do you know the first question already?
I do.
Oh, I did it backwards. Wah, wah, wah. You guys didn't see that. It's one of my biggest pet peeves is when people do a presentation and they literally pull up like the PowerPoint program and they just click on the slides as they're going through. It's just like, drives me nuts. So, all right. So
wait a minute.
Questions.
What's Did that? You take my slide out? There was a slide out before that.
I didn't mean to. Sorry.
I thought.
So I will pull it up, but the lesson is you have to unhide it for it to show in.
Oh, crap. Did I hide it? Yeah. Can't you unhide it?
Well, yeah, if I knew I was supposed to, but I'm doing it right now. So
okay. I thought I did.
And
now you know why I hit it.
Live on Facebook. Okay, here we go. Sorry, everybody. Great. You're such a pain in the rear. Yeah, thank you.
Aren't you glad you taught me PowerPoint?
Yeah, exactly. You know what? It has been really, really cool. It was a very, very, very fun webinar to give, and the amount of people that were on, all of the details of that stuff, it was awesome. I mean, literally 1,400 people, and there was great. We got over 300 questions that I'm still like grouping together to go through and be able to give responses back to it. So anybody and everybody who had the opportunity to log in and watch it or live or after, thank you for doing so. Thank you very much.
It was a good webinar. I can't believe you got through all that stuff in an hour.
I can't either.
I looked at that PowerPoint. I'm like, no way. And you did it.
Yeah. Okay.
Did I do it? No.
No. Okay. It's what I call a technology day, but we're good. So let's jump into the question here. We've got our first one is, of course, so Rosie was asking, how do you handle this? I've got a bill in the amount of $1,000, and I asked the vendor to charge my American Express card to pay it, but supposedly by mistake, they charged my card $1,533 instead of the $1,000. 10 days later, they made a refund to my credit card in the amount of $533, and it has been sitting in my credit card bank feed as money received, but I don't know how to match it to the amount of the original overcharged bill, right?
Right. So
let's do this. And then if you want to, I'm going to give you remote control because this is Linda's turn.
yeah, this one, what I did in this one basically, and I don't know if she does, I actually don't recommend doing the credit card statement and making a bill and paying the bill. That's one of the things I just tell people. They always ask me, why do you say just escape and go past it? Been doing that for years. But in this case, I did, I don't know if I can find it at the top real quick, probably not. Yeah, so I did create a bill for Chase I reconciled the checking, the credit card. I created a bill. I made a payment to the bill. And in this case, the payment says $1,000, but actually entered the payment for $1,533 to show what the credit card company did to her. And then the other piece of it was I entered a credit card refund. So I just did a credit card refund because she actually did get the money back. They didn't just leave it on the account as an overpayment, and then, which is normally what would happen, right? Just leave it because you're going to have more charges, and then you would just get the refund. So I just did it that way. But if they did it as a credit card, if they don't do it that way, a lot of clients I'm running into, I don't know if you see this, they actually write like a check and they line item out the whole thing instead of like bringing the transactions on the feed and then, downloading them. They're doing like this really long manual process. Maybe it's because they work with attorneys and they like to do things the hard way.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, then it's going to be a little bit harder, right? Because you're going to have, it's not going to be a bill. It's a horrible method. Yes, Seth, horrible method. I see it all the time, and they'll have like hundreds of lines where they line item the whole check. So that would be a little bit harder to do. But if you're hitting the liability account, right, you're going to be able to, you just do a credit card credit and show the refund back to Chase to show that amount coming off that account. And, if we did a balance sheet, you can see, hopefully it'll show. If we did a balance sheet on this account, you'll see the money and the payment and then the refund basically, and the account is now zero. So go down to the credit card. It's like a half a second delay here. So yeah, I just did it into here. So this is, the credit card with sub account is going to be a little bit different. And I guess I need to do this here.
So part of it now, one of the suggestions was that you would just change the bill amount to match what you had actually paid. In this type of scenario where that would be a little bit different is because the amount that was actually paid was too much.
Too much. So I overpaid the bill basically. So, and it only applied the 1,000 to the 1,000 that was due. So here's the bill. And then, it just comes out so that there's the credit. And then you can see that in the long run, the balance ends up being zero on that. It balances out to nothing because we get the refund. So basically that's it.
So do you mind clicking into the bill real quick? Let's take a look at that because we'll have the linked transactions through all this stuff, right? When we're in here, so that came through. Now, if we click on the one payment, as you're saying, we'll click on that. And
so I clicked to pay it, but then I changed this to 1,500.
Perfect. That's what I wanted to basically demonstrate was the amount of the payment was still actually the 1,530. We applied only the 1,000, and that made it to where there was a remaining credit of 533. So when we do the vendor refund, which would be the next step, right? Or is what you said, credit, you would then
I did the credit
against that, and that is how that gets zeroed out, right?
Right. So then I just did the credit wherever that went to. And it zeroed it out, basically just zeroed it out with the credit card credit, because I got a refund on it basically. And that will zero out, refund for the overpayment, it will zero out the account.
Beautiful. And then usually I think you have to kind of like link the two together or something like that.
Yes, you have to link them together. Correct. That's just like anything else with customers and bills and payments, you have to do that.
Cool. Well, wonderful. So from there, let's go to our next question here. There we go. Technical difficulties today. Happy Father's Day and happy Sunday. So this was from Father's Day. We had a couple questions this week, interestingly, all around like different time tracking applications. So we wanted to ask everybody in the comments, different places, we'd love to find out what time tracking apps are you using. And if you're specifically using TSheets, do me a favor, tell us if you are using that, what other ones have you used? Because we all know TSheets, of course. Tell us another one that you use, what you liked about it or not. I've worked with, gosh, what was the other one? Homebase, which comes with like Clover app is one way to use that one. And that does a decent job. You can set up like the schedules for people, but I still do like T-Sheets by far the best. What
It's really robust.
I know. I would want to know a little bit more of why it doesn't fit the bill itself, just
Yeah.
because, I mean, if you want to be tracking time on projects and convert billings on the invoice, yes, you can do it with other ones, but I've had a hard time finding where if you're using the payroll the same way, T-Sheets just draws it all together like the best way.
Hmm.
You could use T-Sheets with ADP as well, still the same thing. Um, but there are other ones, of course, out there. There's even Toggle, which is not, it's just a basic time tracking thing that you can zap into QuickBooks Online. Uh,
Hmm.
but I haven't played with Harvest a whole bunch. So what do we got? Anybody giving us any ideas out there?
Um, nope. I think they were all making fun of that you had the PowerPoint on with the extra pages.
Yeah, that's okay.
No, Chris Wise is here. Tanya Schulte's here. Tiffany's
Do.
here. Kelly's here.
Awesome. So again, please put some notes in as you watch this, whether it's later. We've got good old Seth, you're the man. So
That's in there like typing away.
ClickUp now has a Slick timer built into each task. That's interesting. That's a
It
really
is.
cool idea because you could then zap those time activities into QuickBooks Online and have it as billable, time charges, I believe, which would be pretty neat. Um, Beautiful. He's going to get us a link to a video he did time tracking on time tracking apps for Fundera.
Hmm.
It's good to have good friends.
He writes good articles for Fundera. I read a lot of those. It's a good blog. It's kind of like Zapier. I like those too. Those are just pretty good blogs to follow.
Process Street has a good blog too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so next one this is a very interesting one. Need help. Client used QB Bill Pay to pay vendor in January 2019. Since then, we canceled Bill Pay and moved to the fullbill.com platform. Vendor never received the check and is looking for payment. QB Bill Pay says they deleted the payment archives when we canceled the account. Wow.
I know, that's awful.
I mean, I get it, but there should be some kind of timeline to it. Only proof we have is entry in QBO and bank statement showing up deducted by bill.com. Anyone know if the payment archives do exist and who could help? So this is definitely something completely new to me. I haven't seen this and it's actually kind of concerning.
Mhm.
I would expect that the goal would be to try to get some kind of reference number off of maybe the memo line, something of that nature, to be able to kind of prove what it was.
Mm.
One thing that came to my mind is like after the fact is if with the bill pay, if the accountant is the person that was looking and they were trying to go through QBO, that bill pay you couldn't access as an accountant. You'd have to be on as a user. So it would probably have to be the owner as the admin trying to go into that link to maybe see if they could find something. But that's still kind of a guess. Worst case scenario, what I would see is if they really won't play ball on it, then you've got to go to your bank and basically contest the charge and say it was fraud. I'll teach bill.com. So,
I've heard some horror stories of people typing the wrong number in bill.com and they don't get a lot of support from that. So, yeah.
And again, always the thing we love about doing this is if other people do have any experience with this, we'd love to hear
Yeah.
your thoughts on it as well.
It's just, I feel bad for that person. I mean, I would go to the bank and tell them to stop the payment or whatever you could do. I mean, I don't know. You have a lot of choice there.
Correct. Linda, do you mind grabbing the link that Seth provided? We can toss it into Facebook for everybody as well.
Sure. Okay, yeah, sure.
This is when I need 3 screens so I can actually balance it. So then, boy, you were on an app kick this week.
You said you liked apps.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm actually more than happy to try to jump in and take a look at these.
Mhm.
So with Bill Quick, anybody ever use this? I did actually try to take a quick peek earlier, and I'll show that right now. But I ran into a major, major problem. And that is, I have too many windows open. Here we go. You can't even see anything on their dang stuff. First off, I had to try to figure out which was the right Bill Quick.
Yeah, it was
But
weird.
it's all behind like a paywall, which drives me nuts. And paywall, I mean, they want my information for this or that. So
Mhm.
QuickBook is actually by BQE. And I mean, I've heard a lot of positive things about it. I should say I've heard them advertising on the Cloud Accounting podcast.
Yeah, Seth says you want BQE Core.
That's the primary, yeah. So if you then go to their products, that's where we would then see, let's try to go back to home, the Bill Quick actual specific piece of it. There's a Bill Quick and a Bill Quick online. Do it this way. Cheat. There we go.
Mhm.
BQE is the primary. If I go to products, we've got Bill Quick and then Bill Quick online. Since they were asking about QuickBooks Online, I was kind of making the assumption it would have been the Bill Quick online version,
Mhm.
but they literally they don't tell you anything.
Seth said that's their updated product, which replaces Bill Quick and Archie Office. Archie Office.
Okay. Any good? Anything like?
Look, Marco Ruby is there to help you.
Nice. No wonder the PV. Never mind. I'm not
No
gonna.
wonder. I know. Don't go there.
Not gonna say that. Somebody needs to focus. So
Wait, where's the squirrel?
yeah, it's at the other computer. So I'll try to see if I can find a way to get into it and then do more of like a short little video to demonstrate it for everybody. But it was very sophisticated and big learning curve. So if Seth is saying that, my thought process is if they don't make it easy for you to get information, they didn't list their integrations, and it takes a long time to learn it. I think twice, maybe 3 times about actually
Maybe
even.
get Milio.
That's right. So Milio, David Leary, right, is now working
Mhm.
with that organization, and not too surprised, of course, that we now know they're connecting with QuickBooks Online. And I
Yeah.
believe you had set something up, Linda, right? Do you want to tell us a little bit about?
Yeah. I haven't actually set it up yet. I'm waiting for them to do whatever they need to do on the other end, but I sent out he gave me a connection for an accountant, set up an accountant's page. And then I invited all my clients this weekend to it. And I invited like maybe 25 or 30 people, but only one so far has signed up for it that I've gotten an email on. But I'm excited to see how it works, because I think people, I try to word it in such a way because right now it doesn't have any fees to it. So I wanted to make sure that people get a little bit, if it's free, it can't be, there must be a catch to it, right? So, and maybe in the long run, it will be a fee to it, but yeah. So I'll get to play with it though, for sure. And I'll let you know the results, but it should be helpful.
Somebody do me a favor, tag David Leary, and let's tell him he needs to come in here and do a promo for our group.
Or like a little, demo. Yeah.
Yep. Maybe his ears are burning right now. So
next
question.
Yeah, this was interesting because it's like, is this the correct entry for purchase of real estate or property? Yeah, we have Seth on, right? So Seth's like the real estate guy. But yeah, I mean, she's showing the purchase price and she's got all the details here, and yep, land would be debited and the dwelling would be debited. This is something I see a lot when I go onto a client's file. They just either they don't put the land in at all. And that's usually one of those things that we see that's like, okay, that's a mistake. You let him in. But if he's here, he's gonna hide behind the camera. Come on, Seth, real estate guy.
I got thrown off because it kicked me out for a second and then brought me back in.
Probably intentionally, but
No, I didn't even tell him. I just figured he kind of knew some of the stuff. So
I'm not used to being on that side of it, actually. So I was like, wait a minute, I thought I lost my internet for a second.
Yeah, he has the control wall.
I started cursing. So this is a very oversimplified look at it, but essentially, it's a simple version. And what you see that I don't know is that well outlined in the screenshot that you've got is, yes, of course, you have the purchase price, you debit an asset. Keep in mind the land and dwelling is kind of an unusual word. I guess normally we'd call that the building.
Building, yeah.
So it looks like somebody ripped this out of a textbook, but because you don't often see them break out land and building. A lot of times it's just one cost for the whole thing, but a smart CPA will actually break them out because the depreciation is only on the building, not the land. So, so that is proper form. And then what they call buying costs here are really usually called settlement charges. What we really need here is the HUD-1, or what's now called the closing disclosure statement. And it will give you all the debits and credits So it's really easy to follow and book the journal entry. And then, you'll see settlement charges, which is line 1400 is the total settlement charges on what used to be called the HUD-1. But then you can go down a page and you'll see a schedule that details what are title costs, what are closing costs, what are loan fees, what are recording charges. And I don't necessarily create an expense account for each of those, but I will create something for the general grouping. Like I'll put all title charges in one account. Loan fees certainly need to go in their own account, and so on and so forth. So is it the correct journal entry? Yes, in a very oversimplified layout.
You know what I like about it, Seth?
It's a screenshot, actual screenshot of the screen.
He likes because it's an Excel, he's going to say. Because it's Excel and not Google Sheets.
Exactly.
But so here's the problem, though, is now, how did they send that to you? They probably attached it to an email, and then if you had to make changes, you'd have to email it back, and then who's got the latest count?
This proves my case about why you should have a Mac.
Actually, so here's the best part. I'm leaving it on because so far about 15 times today, I've put, remind me tomorrow.
That's Steve Jobs getting even with you on Microsoft.
Oh, well, there's an update, everybody. So, all right. So the next one, QBO Experts Puzzle. I customize a report, add it to management reports. For example, the PL month year to date with total percent of income. After I save it and add it to a management reports, I run the report for April and it pulls the whole year transactions to date. Same happens with the general ledger. Uncheck the adjust box to the date filter and not working. What am I missing? So we thought we would try to demonstrate this one as well. So one of the key things, obviously, first and foremost, actually, this is a perfect opportunity to show everybody the new customized reporting thing, impromptu real quick. Go to QuickBooks Labs, come into here, and now you have community reports also. So if you turn that on, you can actually save different reports and you can make them out there where anybody could use them. So I thought that's kind of a cool thing.
Seth, didn't they have that in desktop a long time ago, this report thing? The community, it wasn't called that, but didn't we have a way we could collaborate on reports?
Yeah, they had a way you could submit your customized reports to like a community. It was really, I think, taken out of what Microsoft used to have and still has, where you could submit templates for your Excel spreadsheets and Word documents and things.
I thought so. I thought I remembered that.
So now I'm going to get back on target there, but it's cool. You can share their different reports. It's kind of fun. So if we just did, I don't remember the exact details of it, but really the concept is to do.
That's right, desktop. Gita says, yes, in desktop. The youngin doesn't remember that, Gita. He wasn't born when that was out. I had to tell him about it. It was a new thing for him.
I was talking about the customization that they wanted to do, but that's okay.
Go ahead. Sorry.
On here, we want to customize a report. The difficulty is when you're saving the customization, you've got like 3 different places you can actually set up timing on all of this stuff, right? So I believe it was said we were doing this year to date was the concept, right? Doing percentage. We should be okay there, and we'll go compare to percentage year to date. So I'm going to run this report. We've made something kind of customized. Now, if I go save customization, name it something that we want to be able to pull up. So fancy new report.
Just call it mud.
Mud. And we'll add it to, we can either choose a group, of course. We'll create a new group called mud. And go. And then, of course, we want to, share it if we want to, like, with everybody, firm only, all that kind of stuff. And then you would click here for the community reports if you're trying to do that. Not going to share mud with the group. We're going to keep our mud. So now that this is set up and we've got going to, again, year to date, if I wanted to then go back to reports and I want to create a management report, right? I can basically copy something else. So let's take this and we'll just go duplicate. So we got something. I like
the management reports. I find that my clients are really impressed by it. I mean,
they look really big. Professional, actually.
Yeah.
If you take the time to flesh them out and really fill out like the title page and all that, they look really good and professional.
And then I like the note page at the end, and yeah, it's cool.
The only thing that we've had difficulty with is because it's not easy to, like, if you designed it out, take it from company to company to company to company for all of our different clients. I mean, we've got the whole URL trick you can do, but we're looking forward to that kind of being improved, and also adding payroll reports to management reports would be
Oh.
great. You can't do that.
They need more payroll reports in QBO for sure.
So the next step I'm going to do is I'm coming over to my side here, right? And we're going to add in the report. So when we're doing this, keep in mind this report period at the top here, and I'm sure this person tried these things, but that's where they could possibly be. If whatever you're choosing here would change. So if this stayed as this year, if I add on a new report, boom, I'm going to go find my MUD report, add it on, period, this year to date, right?
Mm-hmm.
So does it say if it's going to apply using this setting to override the report period at the top right is what that's saying, right?
So normally this year would be the whole year, even through December, even though you're in the middle, but this is saying override that and just do this year to date, which is what you wanted in the original report.
Well, so actually that's what we set up as to be saved as, but if we wanted to go back and do something custom to April, now what happens, we actually would want this to be custom. Unless it was like a last,
like last
period.
month or something.
By having it custom and then doing custom, you could actually do custom ranges from the outside still, because you don't have to come in and change this every single time is the thought process, right?
Right.
But let's put this back to this year. We'll leave this custom, and let's take this to April. Hopefully I have transactions in there. And if we now save this in here, we can go save. Boom. Now I should be able to, I could go print or preview, but I'm just going to go save and close. You can do all, that's right. Because I changed it that one time real fast. Dang it.
Yep.
So I'm going to go back here and put these all to this year. Wow. This year. And then this year. Now I should be able to go save. Cool. Save and close. And my duplicate version. So if I was to just click this, because now here it still says this year, right? I'm going to click on, I'm going to just drop it down as a PDF because I don't have the Adobe thing on there. Now, if we go through and look at these, boom.
Yep.
We'll
AKA MUD.
So here, now we've got January just through to April. So that will help. It's all of those different dates. I mean, it's super, super confusing, of course. But I mean, creating these are great. I wish we could schedule these to just go out automatically, but you can't. In a sense, it's actually kind of good that you don't necessarily.
I was just gonna say, I don't schedule. I mean, I'll schedule like AR report or something like that, but I don't with my financials. I want to look, have a last set of eyes on them before I give them to my client. That's just a work process that I have, just in case something's not right. I want to see it first. I don't want the client calling saying, "What's this thing, hanging or whatever."
So
can you for a second go back to reports, regular standard reports, and just pull it up and just show that new feature where you can edit the titles, because that's kind of cool.
Actually, it's a good point. So they've been working a lot on these reports, a lot. And it's worth showing these details. So
because remember when you'd have a GL and you couldn't populate it all the way through because it would, and you'd have to, now they're working, they have been working a lot on the reports. It's great.
Michelle, it is very good to see you. I haven't talked to you in too long, and give me just a moment and I will go back and try that again where running it through. So running it till March, since we set it to April, and that way see if it would only do up to March, which would be a good thing. So what you were just talking about, you now have the ability for new headers, everything else. We can edit titles. I haven't actually played with this yet. So
yeah, you can change like income to revenue and,
money making. Cost of goods. Stole my money. Oops.
I don't know about that, but
Gross profit, take it to the bank. Expense, play money. I don't know. And net operating income. Where did my money go?
Yeah.
All right, you guys get the point. Don't need to watch me doing that the whole time. So now what's it going to do?
Did you hit save?
Yeah.
Okay. It
So
should change the titles.
I broke it.
That's weird.
Smart page breaks. That's cool. I like that capability. So everything, well, you can do the extra headers, everything else. Hello, Baravi. If you happen to catch this, I can't talk right now. We're doing live stream, but I'll get back to you. So it didn't save it. I must have.
No, it didn't save it. I have used it. It worked for me.
Well, we'll come back to that. It works something like that. You guys can have fun with it, but let's go back and test out the real challenge here. We're going to go back to our reports. And the question was, if we did the same idea with the management report, since we set it to go to April, what if we only ran the report all the way up to March? Would it stop at March also? Which would be cool, because basically what you're thinking there is you could do a custom report, write it to December, and then still have it kind of always updating, maybe, is what I think is being thought. So
Are they trying to do a quarter or?
so I think, Gita, you're saying to do it like this, right? Go custom, and then we want to override it here and do January, boom, to March
Yep.
31st. And then if we go view, I wonder if I had to click tab out of that box, but we'll find out. Wah, wah.
Well, you're breaking everything.
No, it always, every time we go this way, like it's been doing that to me forever. But that's tagged in solid, so we'll click here. Why do you think the developers work with me? It's because I break everything so they can learn how to not break it.
It's probably because you're on a PC.
So is that, are you saying yep as in yep, that's what it does? I think it's because
I think you might have to do this one next week.
I think what it could be is, so let's go back to this year, right? I wonder if one of the, because the variables, the way we're setting it up, if that actually is what causes the issue.
Maybe you set, when you set it.
Yeah.
Did you customize date March 1 to the end of March? I mean, March 1 to the end of March.
Yeah, we're gonna have to come back on this one because I don't know at the moment. I don't know if I broke it one way or another. So I will
figure it out next week.
And I love a good challenge, that's for sure. All right, so next one here. Journal entry showing up on invoice report.
Yeah, we see this all the time when you get your tax professional into the books and they make a lot of adjusting entries and they book them to accounts receivable. And you pop in and they've got all these entries and they never cancel them out. So, and they just do journal entries to accounts receivable and you see these. So I'm assuming that's what it is. They kind of blocked a lot of things out. They have a deposit there. So I'm assuming by looking at this one, they had a deposit and it was probably a customer payment.
Yeah, I'm also so basically, like you said, it's going to be, they're trying to use a journal entry as to tag the AR. Hopefully they had the right customer name in it as well. Yeah. And that can actually be an issue of which line on the journal entry it is on as well can cause it. And then you have to be able to go in and actually tag it against everything. So you're, instead of doing a journal entry, you're almost better at doing a credit memo, I guess would be the better way against all that.
Use the functions of QuickBooks, but a lot of times when you get the tax professional and they don't use QuickBooks, I'm curious if anybody in the group has ever seen those journal entries tagged to accounts receivable, accounts payable. It's just, you get a new client and they're just hanging from like 2015 and you're like, what is this? And the person goes, I don't know, I just leave it alone because I don't know what to do with it. And they actually zero out if you look at the end of the day.
Happened to me literally last night. I've been working for, a client that basically had gone from desktop to online, was there for a bit of time, didn't have a very successful go at it with the way that it was being done. They went back to desktop, and we've been untangling some
Ooh,
aspects of it, basically, right? And we had to look at the prior year, and all of this AR was just outstanding
yeah,
because they have journal entries there that were not actually reducing the amount down.
yeah, not good.
Expensive mess that we love to do. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh.
So this is a cool one. If I purchased QuickBooks Online 8 months ago, is it too late to import data from QuickBooks Desktop? What do you think, Linda?
Well, you can import the data, and if it's blank, you could pull it in. If it's got something in, you're going to overwrite it. If you're thinking purging the current file, no, because that's only 90 days and you can't do that. I had that happen with a client that I had the 5 for 5 deal way back, and the client closed their business, and I didn't want to lose my 5 for 5 slot. So the Intuit Diamond support at that time said to take a desktop file and just a plain simple, I just made a new file with nothing in it but the chart of accounts and overwrote it. So I had it fresh for the next client.
Yeah. So one of the tricks that we've always done, it's somewhat related to this, but not exactly. Since we have multiple pro advisors at our company, we have one of our extra pro advisor company files that we've got set up. We keep that to set up as a playground for people.
Yeah.
Because as a QuickBooks Online accountant, you can actually overwrite that file whenever you want and like purge it, do all that kind of stuff, no problem. So what we'll do is grab information, put in desktop, and then put it into that. So again, playground for new clients, give them the chance to have training wheels on a program while we're still doing a build out. The only thing that is limited on time is that purge company file functionality, right?
Yeah, and then you don't have it on Simple Start, right? So I don't think you can purge on Simple Start. At least you couldn't way back. That's the one file they don't let you purge.
I don't think I've ever had a client in Simple Start.
Oh, I never recommend it, but yeah. Actually, I did recommend it recently for somebody who wanted to put their personal checkbook in. So that was good for that.
So which QuickBooks is right for me? Wife is realtor. I am freelancer. So funny knife. Question number one is, are you trying to do two companies in the same company file?
Sounds like it.
If you're trying to do something like that, you'd have to go you should never do that, number one, but you'd have to go high enough to like QBO Plus if you really want to try to use locations or something like that, which means you could just do two sets of essentials probably, or Simple
Can you
Start.
imagine the mess that would be if you did that? They'd have to classify every transaction. It's not worth it. Not for the price.
Hey, Caden, good to see you, my friend.
Dude, I would say probably maybe two essentials program. I mean,
yeah, well, so realtor could be some creative stuff. The key thing I would say on this is stay away from self-employed. And the only reason I say that is I wish you both success and growth in your businesses and need to go up higher and higher. And if you start minimum, Simple Start, or essentials, you can continue to grow with the software lineup, right? And not be limited. But to my knowledge, if you're in self-employed, there is no way to export from that and get into the others. It's kind of a whole different beast.
Right. It's true. And self-employed is actually built for this type of client, but for the reason you just stated, just go with essentials or Simple Start if you have something really basic and simple. Price point's not that bad.
I always say when we're looking at the different applications, it's all a question of how do I get my data in and how do I get my data out? The most important things, because as we're testing out different programs, I do not want to have to put my data in a second time. And so if I don't mind building something out, finding out it's not for me, if I can export it and kind of just build off of it, build off of it, build off of it. So can I delete bank transactions that I uploaded twice?
Yeah, so I created a rule so you'd see the rule was for Apple that I made an auto rule. If you want to go into the file, we can show how you.
The never-ending Apple. So there's actually two parts of this itself, and thank you, Linda, again for taking the time to set this stuff up. So one thing to know, if you're going to import transactions, let's say you took the same file, you pull it in, import all the stuff, and you realize, oops, I made a mistake, and you want to re-import it again, you actually have to go into the system. You need to exclude all of those and then you must remove them completely from exclude, or they will not get pulled in because it sees the same transaction IDs, all the details in the actual file itself. So it's pretty hard to do a duplicate like that.
Yeah.
However, if you had a situation where somebody coded it in and then it came through a bank feed, or you reconnected bank feed, something along those means, that's where that would happen. So
And then if you have an auto rule on, it becomes Groundhog Day. So if you go up to the go up to the search, you'll see like Apple, like they went in because I made the rule. Yeah.
Which I love the fact they now have that search function for all the rules, because
Yes. Remember how hard it was to find it before? So that's a really great value add.
Control F. So what we're talking about here is, let's say you've got trend. I'm sure you guys have seen this before, but if you've got a rule set up, we'll go and edit it. And if this auto add is turned on, and it's basically saying, imagine it was worse. What if you just had it say like bank or something like that? It was auto add. Be really, really, really careful every single time as to what you put in here. And actually, Linda, there's one thing you probably want to be cautious of as well. Almost 95% of the time, it should actually be bank text and not
description. Yeah, that was the default, right? So I did that fast. I had a client that typed in AT for AT&T and saved the rule. You don't know what happened to that. I mean, that was like it made an auto rule, and everything that had the letters A and T went to this one thing. And he's like, why is all this stuff in like phone? And I'm like, I don't know. That's what happened.
I'm going to save this again, right? Now we go back to our banking. I'm guessing you said to come up here because we could find it.
Yeah, there'll be a couple of Apple charges that dropped in from the bank feed.
Come on, magnifying glass, smart guy. Here we go. So let's go.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
These.
So if that was a duplicate and you were going to delete it, exclude it.
So let's look. Dates 12/25/2019.
Christmas.
Right?
Yeah.
More. We're going to go delete. Boom. Now, for the account that was in, what's literally going to happen? I didn't pay attention to what account
it was in the Matthew checking one, I think.
Probably because I was buying stuff from Apple. The credit card?
Yeah, I think it might have been that.
It
there
totally
is.
did. So
It
here, but isn't it supposed to auto add?
It's supposed to auto add, yep.
Fix that glitch. So what we were expecting was going to happen is you'd have this set up, and maybe I didn't recheck it because I changed that rule. If, or for newer ones, if you've got this set up and it's set up to auto add, we've seen where it would recognize this. Actually, you know what? Maybe you were right. Maybe I screwed it up by doing this. We believe in showing you all aspects of how to do this. So we'll go auto add, put this back on, save. Banking. And so, wow, look at that. Talk about the description. It actually did it the other way. So now that went away, right? So now let's go back up here.
It's like, where is it? Oh God, it's back in there. And it's just a vicious circle. It'll just keep coming back and coming back and coming back. I think sometimes if you do it twice, it might stop and sit in the feed for you if you delete it twice. I'm not sure, but they used to anyway, but yeah.
So imagine you're going through and you batch delete these things.
Yes.
That's really like, if it's one at a time, it's not a big deal. Like you get it, right? Now we came back.
See, it's the second time. If you do it the second time, yep.
Well, see, never mind. That's why we bring these things up. Is so.
But still, I mean, you don't want it to keep populating. So yeah.
So you can obviously delete that type of stuff. Additionally, on top of that is, as we said, if it's a situation you're importing through like a CSV or a QBO file, it should recognize if you're using the exact same file. Little extra tip, of course, is with a CSV, you do not have the ability to put, you don't have as much room to put like information like a pay name, so forth. So if you do a QBO or OFX file, you can actually do a payee name in there. And a little super sneaky trick, if you're doing something where you're manipulating the data in Excel first, I know with bank feeds, everybody always does it where you create bank rules based off of the data that's coming through that bank feed memo, right? If you do a rebuild real quick, you could always add a little snippet at the end of every transaction and you can trigger the bank rule if you kind of look at it reverse like that, and it helps you get through stuff really fast.
Yeah.
How do I delete this whole account?
Yeah, I wasn't sure what they meant. If they meant the whole QBO account, I had that happen once with a client, and they were like, "I want to remove the entire account. I want it gone, and cancel the subscription." And it stays there. It's there for a whole year. So you have to realize that it's out there, because what your mom says about whatever's on the internet stays on the internet. It's there.
Yeah.
So it will be there. The data will be there for a year. And then if you try to go back in after the year, you really can't access like anything, right? So download your reports, do it by fiscal period. So you want to make sure that not only do you download the whole thing, but you do the fiscal period or export it to desktop if you have that capability.
We always export to desktop, so we have
Yes.
a backup record of it,
Mhm.
because we don't want something to get changed after the fact. If they were to come back onto us,
Absolutely.
and we have a video on my YouTube channel that helps you kind of get through that, because it can be a tough process.
Right.
Linda, I'm going to take a quick side trip because actually
Yes,
Jeff had asked us in the questions
Mhm.
specifically to clarify, where would I see the option for doing a credit card refund? So I
Yeah,
want to
because
step back.
you would think it'd be called credit card refund, but it's called credit card credit for some reason.
Because the same people that named the QQQ.
Money in and money out? No.
So credit card credit is what you would do. It'll pull up, make sure you've got the right card, of course, the stuff going in, and that's how you would tag that through.
And
So,
click feedback and tell them you'd rather see it be called credit card refund.
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, nomenclature is very, very important.
Mhm.
So we're pretty close on time here.
Yeah, you might want to skip to the end. We'll just save the ones that I had extra in there. I have a client who's paying expenses for another startup, his new business, until the new business gets funding income. When the bank feed comes in for the expense, I'm putting it in intercompany receivable and the new business as a client. Any anticipated problem with this?
I have a client who's paying expenses for another startup. Interesting. So there's a couple of the questions I would have is, when they're paying these expenses, is this actually considered investment into this other business? Or is it expected that it's going to be repaid right away? Because that might change the answer to some extent.
And what kind of a business, who owns the business? What is the business? Is it a LLC? Is it,
Yeah.
Sorry, Shai, I've got my headset on. I'm in a webinar, so I couldn't hear what you were saying.
but we can hear you, Seth.
I said.
Okay.
So 2 LLCs, same owners. Okay, so separate, if they're truly separate businesses, the key to it would be the categorization, everything else wouldn't matter. So literally you just need a clearing account, something that you can hold on to be able to recognize how much money needs to get paid back. Now I want to put a different distinction on this, where we've had companies where let's say one company is paying the rent for both of them, and what they're looking to do is actually do a split of the rent of that transaction and then be able to track that part of it.
Mhm.
That would be a different type of an environment. There you would actually want to still hit the proper expenses, but you would do a split transaction for the amount and then have the remaining amount go to that holding or clearing account that you would then write the check, or accept a check for payment since you paid those amounts.
And always check with the tax professional that knows both businesses really well, and they might have a way that they expect it to be seen on their reporting.
What I would say, Terry, is that that's a pretty specific question. So I don't know that we necessarily answered it exactly, but if you want to reach out, I'll be happy to spend some time with you and try to better understand it and make sure we get the answers solved for you, of course.
Mhm.
So this right now, I think this is really cool.
This
Actually,
is our friends.
it's really cool. And I really think it's really neat that Intuit they're acknowledging the hard work that so many of our accounting friends have been doing at this time to try to help everybody that's out there. So I think it's great. I love seeing these people that are on here. This is good marketing. This is good stuff.
Yes, it is very nice marketing. I thought they did a great job here. Plus great pictures. And I guess they were all done like at home, right? So.
Yep. Now I actually don't have anything coming up, which is kind of cool. I'm excited for a little bit of time to work on some stuff.
It's 2 weeks, but yeah.
You've got a really cool one coming up. So
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be on an expert panel with Megan and MB. And of course, I'm a fangirl of Michelle Long for many years. I learned from Michelle and actually Seth over the years from back a long time ago when I first started, and still learn from Seth. But yeah, so I'm going to get to be on a panel. I'm going to get to talk about niching, which you've been on the journey with me, niching and learning, taking my generalist practice and putting it into a niche. Actually, Geeta's on here. She's been niche person forever. So yeah, and I learned from her as well.
said, and a nice person, niche, nice. Just
Very nice, yes. Very nice.
And Dan DeLong's on this one too, right? Is he gonna be there?
Dan
I'm
the
a
man.
fanboy for Dan. Hi, Dan. So
I forgot Dan. How could I forget Dan?
never.
Love Dan.
All right. Well, I look forward to actually watching this one. It's gonna be cool stuff. I really do like Advanced. It's been really neat what you can do with it, and it's
I love it. I love it. I love it. All the features.
Yep.
Do you have anything come up next week? Because that's actually 2 weeks away. But do you have anything next week?
I've got somebody coming to visit me, I think, and like it's been a whole day. Did you notice that? Look at that. Whole day already. I'm going to be doing my update next. So yeah, I've got some a friend coming out to visit in not too long. So that
Next week?
No, not next week. The week after.
Okay.
I don't know. Whenever I get the message, the plane's arrived.
And then are you going to say, "Oh, I'm just leaving my house"?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yep. So on that note, everybody, thank you for jumping in. We really enjoy doing this every time. Thank you for the questions live. We'll always do what we can to answer those as well. And until next week, here's wishing you all a very successful week.
Bye now.